Good morning, good afternoon. Thanks for attending the Oracle Integration Partner Community webcast. Please welcome your host, Ravi Chaplani.
Hello and good morning, all. Thank you for joining. I'd like to say a big warm welcome to our trusted partner representatives. I'm glad you all made it to this call, and it's going to be a wonderful session today. And it's going to be with Vernon, who's going to be covering the main topics on B2B. And we'd also have Jürgen, who will be doing some of the announcements as well. I would say let's get started and let's move to the agenda. Before we do, a quick safe harbor. So the features we're going to show today, keep in mind these could change over time, could be features, could be pricing, you name it. So just an advisor here. And finally, the agenda. We've been doing a welcome and introduction, but then we'll focus on giving an overview of B2B. That's the main topic for today. So we have B2B and Oracle integration. So that's going to be covered by Vernon. And he'll also give us a demo on how it actually looks like. And then we'll have time for some Q&A and wrap up.
Ravi, thank you very much. Jürgen, Kress, good morning. Thanks for attending. So I have the pleasure to update you a little bit on the upcoming activities. And of course, it's AI World. So we are looking forward to welcome you in Las Vegas. Please make sure that you book your integration sessions. Many of them have been booked out in the past. And if you reserve your room, you get preference and you get your seat. So please take a look at our integration agenda. There are also networking opportunities. So we would like to meet you over coffee, beer, or wine, and you have the opportunity to talk to the product management and development team. So check out the agenda. There are the sessions, there are the speakers, and on the bottom you find the networking opportunities. For our customers, we host a customer summit that's only by invitation for customers, and we give them a brief update. For everybody else, we run a webcast on October 15th, where we present the latest news and announcements from AI World. And we are going to release a lot of AI features for Oracle integration. You connect the data, you then can make the data available in large language models in a secure and governance model. More on October 15th. As a wrap up, we run our next partner community webcast on the announcement of AI World and how to get started with the new features and functionality. So please join us on October 28th. There you will see also a detailed demo with everything that we showed at AI World. All data, all information is published in the integration newsletter. Also, the September edition is out there, so go to bit.ly/integration news September 2025. For partners, we continue to offer the roundtable at AI World. So if you attend the conference, please let me know if you would like to meet us there. And we will continue to offer the hands-on bootcamp, various states, including EMEA, in Portuguese for Brazil, US, and also Asia. So make sure you read the newsletter. It's in there, and you will find there the latest news and events and trainings. We also updated our community website, and today's webcast is live. We are recording and will make the on-demand webcast available at Oracle Video Hub. In case you missed some of the webcast, please take a look at Watch Community. There is really excellent content. For example, the latest RPA webcast we did with Sandhya and team and Supani. So take the opportunity and watch out those recordings. With that short introduction, I would like to introduce Vernon. Vernon, thank you for joining our call.
Thanks, Jürgen. Hi, everybody.
So what is B2B? Why is it part of Oracle integration?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to cover all of those topics today. So welcome everybody to this webcast. To answer your question, Jürgen, right? So first and foremost, a small primer on general B2B overview, right? So B2B generally stands for business to business integration. And typically, people might think isn't that what we do every day? But B2B does have a little bit of an additional nuance to it, where enterprises are typically communicating with their trading partner community. And this community is, could be your vendors, your suppliers, or your business partners who you do day-to-day business with. And what defines this is basically, pre-agreed and mutually agreed upon standards, both in terms of the documents that you exchange as well as the way you would exchange that. And that would typically be your business protocols, right? And in this world, there's a high level of standardization, and this came into enforcements typically because there was disparate systems, different formats, and I know to in this day and age, all of that is okay, and it's basically the modern B2B. But traditionally, the standards were introduced for an unified communication across organizations, and that's where B2B came into existence, right? Now, I would also like to highlight, for organizations who are involved in a lot of B2B, there are typically these customer pain points, right? Their pain points typically are, how do I connect with my trading partners through this traditional and modern B2B protocols, right? What platform can provide me that? How do I manage my EDI and non-EDI business documents? The support for standards and other proprietary formats. How do I onboard my trading partners with ease? And then how do I create these business processes, via low code environment, or, quickly create these integrations which have the core business logic. And then eventually, once you set this all up, you would want to, of course, monitor them effectively, make sure that you are, not losing track of anything that is being exchanged. And top of it, you would also want to have some smooth operational management, via transaction management of resubmission, or setting up of batching, or setting up of, downtimes for your trading partners. So all such kind of things. So these are typically areas where some of the customers that are in heavily involved in B2B would express some pain points. And that is where, I think we are striving very hard to enhance Oracle integration B2B, which is, of course, our cloud native platform. It is very much unified with the OIC platform, which everybody knows and loves in terms of connectivity with various applications. And now with the B2B component, the whole B2B setup and the onboarding of trading partners and doing business with them is much more seamless, right? So with that, quickly, I would just like to highlight, some key, again, this might be a refresher for a lot of folks, right? So just want to highlight the key components. So as you can see here, the big box is OIC, and within that, we have the B2B component. And within that, we have some key aspects, things like schemas, which is basically the structural definition of your documents that you're dealing with. And on top of it, we have documents, which is like a more logical representation of what business the documents you're exchanging. And then you have the all-encompassing trading partner, right? And typically these trading partner would be defined with things like the documents that they would exchange, and then of course the communication preferences that they would like to use. So for B2B specifically, we have these 4 to 5 protocols that we are explicitly supporting. And then these fall under the connections. We also have a special action called as B2B action, which allows you to create and consume data or business documents which are exchanged with your trading partner. And that sits within the integrations aspect of OIC. And with this, you can now communicate with your trading partners via any of these protocols, which are, outside the organization. And all of this can be now tracked seamlessly with the B2B message tracking, right? Now, this is again a summary of the key features. We spoke briefly in the components as well. So key features is, first and foremost, like I said, the major aspect is the B2B protocols that get used. So we support all these major protocols here: AS2, AS4, SFTP, RosettaNet, and REST protocols. The next is, support for business documents. You can see we have extensive document support. We support a large list of versions around under X12, EDIFACT, and X12 HIPAA. We do support a OAGI standard as well. Under non-EDI standards, we support XML, fixed length, and custom delimited, and a lot more enhancements are going into all of these as we speak. And we will be adding support to other standards as well. Key things which we've added in the feature list is basically document correlation, and we will see that as part of our demo, what that means. Essentially, you would be able to see the life cycle of your business exchanges. And then, of course, the definition of customized schemas goes without saying. It's something that we've had in the platform for quite some time on the standard side. Now, with the introduction of all these non-EDI documents as well, that's something that you would be able to do via the user interface, and that's much more convenient from a setup perspective. Then we have the trading partner setup, right? So again, it's a very curated kind of TP configuration so that you are not bogged down by all the complexities of EDI world and B2B exchanges. So it's a very simple setup from that perspective. You can then define, like I said, the communication preferences, the document agreements. Also would like to highlight, because this is something that we've been asked multiple times by our customers, do you support multiple organization kind of setup in the B2B world? So that's something that we do support, and we will briefly look at it, how that can be done. And then from a operational management support perspective, you are able to now define downtime for your trading partners so that you are continuing to process requests for this trading partner without having to put everything on hold while your trading partner is undergoing some maintenance, or they are down for some other operational reasons. And again, that's something we will look at during the demo. And the last part is basically the monitoring aspect. So this is again something which we pride ourselves on, because again, from a integration standpoint, it's a very low level kind of monitoring, but typically in the B2B world, everybody's interested to look at what's happened to my business documents. How did it come in, how did it go out, what is the status, all those kind of things. So we have specific business and wire message tracking, and then you can filter and troubleshoot errors fairly easily as well. There is the resubmission of transactions, both if they are successful or errored out, you have the capability of resubmitting them. We did introduce a new capability where you are now able to export the transaction report so that you can use them for reporting to the management level. And like I said, in the under the business documents, you can now visualize the document lifecycle of your exchanges as well. Again, I'll go in a little bit more detail as we go towards the demo there. And all of this, as you can see, is supported by our integrations component as well. Now let's look at a typical B2B use case, and we will look at this from a perspective of if exchange with XML documents and some B2B protocol. So we have Global Chips, who is a Oracle B2B customer, and they are predominantly a product manufacturer, and they are doing business with a big box retailer called Acme. They have basically purchased whatever product Global Chips is manufacturing and sells them. And Global Chips also has a part supplier who is essentially supplying them with the parts that they require in order to manufacture the product, right? So now in this scenario, what's happening is Acme wants to purchase, a new set of inventory or product from Global Chips. So they are sending over 850, which is nothing but a purchase order in XML terms, over the protocol AS4, right? So what would then happen is Global Chips would then acknowledge acknowledge the receipt of a 850 and its validity via a 997. And then they would send an 855 acknowledging the order itself, saying that yes, I am able to accept all the requests that are there in the order. Then they would also send the 856 saying that okay, now I have shipped these product to you, and you should be here are the tracking or delivery details. And then they are going to send 810, which is the invoice, basically charging them for whatever they have purchased. And all these documents are being exchanged over AS4. Now, typically in the B2B world, this exchange, we would call it as order to cash, because from the perspective of global chips, it's an order coming in. And once they are fulfilled, Acme would then send them the payment as well. So it's order to cash. Now, in order to fulfill this purchase order, Global Chips does need to procure some parts from their part supplier. So they would now send an 850 to their part supplier, which is purchase order over SFTP. And the same set of exchanges now would happen in the other direction, where the part supplier is sending all these things to Global Chips over SFTP. Now, in this use case typically is termed as procure to pay, simply because from a Global Chips perspective, you are procuring things over here, and then you would have to end up paying your part supplier to again fulfill the whole purchase that you just made. Now let's zoom this in just to this order to cash scenario that we discussed, and just to the purchase order, so that we can discuss in much more detail about how the setup and everything happens, right? Now, so when the 850 comes to Global Chips via AS4, for the AS4 communication, there is a signal or a receipt acknowledgement that goes back to Acme, stating that the connection was successful and we have received your file. And then 997, like I said, once we have gone over the 850 and validated its syntactic validity and those kind of things, we then respond back with the 997 stating everything looks fine, or if there was errors, there would be a error report within this telling them about the issue. Now, once this is received on Acme, they will then now send back the receipt signal saying, acknowledging the receipt of this particular document over this transport, and that's the end of the communication. Now, this would be then translated to every single document that gets exchanged. So the sequence of events remains the same. So now, how would this basically look like when you have to implement it on OIC B2B, right? So there are 8 steps to complete the user experience, right? First and foremost, you would have to define the connection with Acme. So I would need to set up the AS4 connection and define the details that are required to allow me to connect to them. Then I would need to define the schema. So in this case, since I'm using a standard, which is X12850, I do not have to create the schema unless I want to customize it specifically for this requirement. Otherwise, this is an optional step. But a thing to note is, if you're using any non-EDI documents like XML or flat fixed length or delimited, you would need to set up a schema for sure, because that's something that is not shipped out of the box, right? Next, we would create the custom document, which is then going to refer to either the custom schema or the standard schema that is shipped. And that in this, we would now define things like what are the identifiers I would need to surface to track this document exchange, what correlation I need to set so that there is a good life cycle view that I can establish at a later point in time. And this is a required step. The big amount of work that would go in is basically creating the backend integrations. And what this means is, when you are receiving the 850, what should happen to that 850, right? So that needs to be transformed into something in the format of the backend ERP system. Or if you're dealing with sending some document out, you would then pull some object from your backend ERP system. Now that needs to be transformed into an EDI document and sent out. So these are your backend integrations. So that needs to be built and associated when you are creating the trading partner. So this is the first few steps in terms of setting the prerequisites. Now you would go ahead and set up your trading partner profiles and as well. So before that, we would need to define our own host profile. The profile is nothing but a set of identifiers, basically, identifying ourselves to the trading partner with some well-defined and pre-agreed identifiers with the trading partner. Similarly, you would create a trading partner and have these identifiers defined, which are belonging to the trading partner. Here you would now also define the transport. The transport is nothing but setting up of this connection and defining what are additional parameters you would need to have for that connection. And then the agreements is nothing but what documents you are going to exchange, what is incoming, what is outgoing from this trading partner. With that, then you are ready to exchange documents, and now you can go ahead and track these via the message tracking. Now let's just zoom in into what exactly happens when we do this setup. First foremost, let's talk about inbound, meaning so in this again going back to the scenario that we just defined, when we receive an 850 from Acme, what happens? So Acme sends us an 850 that typically comes to this receive integration that is on OIC B2B. Now, this is an auto-generated integration. So there's a receive and a send. These two will be automatically generated by us when you create transport for the trading partner. So this way, you don't have to worry about creating all this by yourself. This is taken care by us. Now, all you need to worry about is creating these backend processes. Once I receive this, what needs to happen? So if I receive an 850, this integration needs to be, the 850 integration needs to be executed. If I receive a payment advice, which is 820, then this needs to be, so I will create those separately. And these are, like I said, customer created, includes the main business logic. And then eventually, once these are processed, they go into the Oracle ERP cloud. What also happens automatically is the dynamic routing to either one of this. And this happens because in the trading partner setup, we have the agreements, which tells us, when you receive an 850, you need to call this integration. When you receive an 820, you need to call this integration. So it's a very loosely coupled kind of configuration that you can just tweak the trading partner setup and you can quickly be done with your inbound message processing. Now, similarly, on the outbound side, what happens is from the cloud ERP system, we are pulling some document, maybe in this case, an invoice, it gets pulled. So this is a customer created integration, and it includes the main logic of pulling the invoice, what needs to happen in terms of converting that invoice into the EDI document. And then in this EDI document action, B2B action that is there, we do a bunch of things, right? Where we identify the trading partner that it is intended for. And then again, based on the document that you are transforming to, the outbound agreement then tells us, what needs to happen, which transport needs to be used to send this out. And then based off of that, we pick the appropriate send integration, which is auto-generated, like I said, during the transport creation. And this is now used to send the document out to the trading partner. Now coming to monitoring again, we have the message tracking, like I said, so you can see the business message and wire messages here. And then also the life cycle tracking. So you can see this is slightly different because as you notice here, there is something called as a collaboration ID, which is nothing but tying all these relevant documents together on the basis of the purchase order in this case, right? So the 850 is tied to the purchase order confirmation with the PO number as well. And we'll see that in the demo. Now, from an operational management perspective, things like resubmit are there on both business and wire messages. And then also, like I said, the TP downtime, where you can schedule a downtime for a specific trading partner for a period of time during which, any messages that you would want to send out to them will be held for that period of time. And then once this is elapsed, it would be then processed and sent out to them without you having to stop your entire processing all the way from your backend application. So with that, let's quickly jump into the demo part. So here I have my OIC dashboard. So you can see this specific instance, which is OIC Dev 3, you can see is global chips. Again, if you recall the use case that we defined, so global chips is the OIC customer. And I have another OIC instance here, which is termed as Acme. You can see this is prod. And I'm using this to represent the trading partner. So we'll quickly go here to global chips. And what we have done is, we again, a point to highlight here is that we B2B components are now fully supported on a project. So we encourage you to completely use the benefits of projects, even for your B2B implementations. So I have a project here for Acme. And under this, I have the setup of the trading partner Acme, with whom I am exchanging, the documents, right? So first and foremost, like I said, the first thing that we would do is go ahead and set up the connection. So in this case, I have set up this AS4 connection here. So all you need to provide is the connection URL and then the security aspects, using the basic username, password, token policy, providing those things. If you are looking to also add encryption and signing, you would have to define these keys as well. This is very much similar to what we used to do in our AS2 connection. So I have kept it to a bare minimum at this point for the purposes of demo, but there are these capabilities as well. So once you define those connections, you now go ahead and set up the documents that you need to exchange. So as mentioned, we would be exchanging purchase orders and PO confirmation. So we have those here. I have also, for the purposes of this thing, we have created a custom schema. So as I mentioned, this is not required, but if you do need to modify any of this, these things which are there within the schema itself, you can create a customized schema and edit them and use that for this specific trading partner. This now gets associated with the document that you would be using. So let's say this is the document, this is using the schema here. Now under document configurations, we have two major aspects. One is the business identifiers, which is nothing but some fields from the document which we will be surfacing for the tracking purposes. And the other aspect is the correlation, which in this case, if you notice, we have defined correlation from and selected the order number. So for this purchase order, what we will be doing is storing this purchase order number whenever it's processed. And then similarly, for the other documents which are involved in the order to cash kind of life cycle. So in this case, this is an 855 purchase order acknowledgement. We would have under correlations, correlation 2, and we would be selecting the same purchase order from this document. So whenever this document is processed and we will pick this purchase order number, if it matches any of the purchase order that we have already in the system, it will now link it with that for you to know, yeah, these documents that you are exchanging are related to each other. Now, once you set that up, you can now go into your trading partner, create your B2B identifiers here. So in this case, I have very minimal setup. As you can see from a EDI exchange perspective, all I need is basically the interchange ID, group ID, qualifier, and the interchange ID and the group ID. And because I'm using AS4, I also need to define something called as a name, which I'll be using as an identifier for my AS4 exchanges. You'll also see you have the ability to control the control numbers as well. You can manually set this up. If not, the system takes over and then it's managed automatically as well. Under the transports and agreements, you can see I have set up the AS4 connectivity. If we quickly look at the setup, it talks about, okay, which transport do you like to use? And once I set up AS4, it shows me the connection that are belonging to AS4. I have selected the one which we have created. Under the identifiers, as you can see, I have selected the name, and similarly, the host identifier for global chips is also selected here. So these are the identifiers that will be passed when the AS4 connectivity is being established. And I have some other AS4 specific configurations here from the send. There are packing options as well for if you want to add additional security like signature encryption and all of that. And you also have the option of setting up MDNs as well. Now, this is the section where you can see that these are the two out-of-the-box integrations that get created when you set up the transport. And then I have bunch of inbound and outbound agreements. So as defined in the use case, we will be receiving an 850 from Acme to Global Chips, and we will be sending an 855 back to them. We will come back to this at a later point in time, but this is all you need to do in order to set up the trading partner on OIC. Now, let's simulate an exchange. So what we are going to do is, again, like I said, this is pretending like the trading partner Acme. I'm not going to go over the setup here because it's the same here, but this could be any other B2B platform or OIC if they are a part, customer as well. So they would now trigger or send the purchase order to Global Chips, right? So I'm going to simulate that by executing this integration here. So let me quickly grab my payload. So here I have this payload. I'm going to hit send. So you can see this is successful. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to come back here on Global Chips and I'm going to see what happened. Did I receive any exchanges? So if I go here, go to my wire messages, so you can see there are a bunch of things that has just happened. So first and foremost, this is the first entry here. So you can see this is inbound AS4. So what happened was we received something from them. So you can look at the payload here. This is basically the 850 document that they are sending us. So this was received. And then you can see an MDN, basically a receipt acknowledgement of this particular transaction is sent out. We then sent a 997 after validating whatever was received back to them, and they then sent back an AS4 MDN stating that they have successfully received this. Now these would now create something called as business messages. So you can see the incoming 850 business message here. And you can see here is my order number that is associated with it. This is what we defined as part of our business identifiers. I have also surfaced the buyer name here. And then, the associated 997. So now in exchange for this, we now need to confirm or, this purchase order. So what we're going to do here is trigger a PO confirmation. So again, let me grab my payload for this. Right. So I'm going to hit run. So this was successful as well. So let's go back and see what happened. Right. So when we go back to our observability here, hit refresh. So you can see two new transactions here. So an 855 was sent out to this trading partner, and here is the order number for which I am acknowledging this. And then again, similarly, they have now sent a FA back, a 997 back, confirming the validity of this document that was exchanged. And again, in the wire messages, you will see there are a bunch of new transactions here. So you can see an 855 went out, and then an MDN basically acknowledging the receipt, and then a 997 coming in, and an MDN going out. Now at this point, again, there are just four transactions, but also what you can notice is if I go to my 850, which is the original purchase order that came in, under correlations, I also now see something called as collaboration, right? So when I hit this basically now filters to only the transactions that are pertaining to this, right? So all the transactions which have this purchase order number are filtered, right? So these 997s belong, this belongs to this 997 belongs to this. So basically all of these are linked with each other. So in this use case, if we were to receive an 810 or send an 810 with the same purchase order, that would also now get attached to this, provided we have configured the document to have that correlation set up as well. So this is a cool feature which is very useful in the B2B world to track, what state your specific business document exchange is at. Now, coming to AS4, there is another way to exchange. So what we just saw is basically push. This is like the very basic way of doing exchange. This is how every other protocol works. But AS4 has a variation where it is possible that your trading partner might create a document, like in this case, a 850, and store it with them. And you as client, you would have to reach out to them and check if they have something for you, right? And the way that happens is basically there is a concept called as MPC. It's called message partition channel, and that's how AS4 stores, these documents in a specific, again, pre-agreed message channel. And whenever, you reach out to them and check, hey, do you have any messages for me in this channel? It then tells, yeah, here it is, go and pick it up, right? So let's try to see how that works. So I have again integration which simulates creation of this particular document, and it stores it for pull. So let me again provide. So I'm going to name this a little different so that we can, identify it. So you can see this was created successfully. So if I now, again, just for the sake of, clarity, if we just look at what happened here, you will see that the 850 that we just created, the pull, is now in pending functional acknowledgement. And then similarly, if you go to the wire message, it is still pending transmission. Now, when I look at the message logs, it clearly tells me why, right? It tells me that this wire message is parked for pull request on this message partition channel, which is Acme Pull MPC. Now, this is the channel where this has been parked for the time being. Now, let's go back to global chips and see, how we can pull that specific thing, right? So I have another integration which is going to pull that for me. So here, when I hit run, again, this is something that I have custom implemented for the purposes of demo. This is something that, can be implemented in any way, but what essentially is required is these details that you see here. So I'm providing the trading partner that I need to pull this from, what is the NPC that I need to pull this from, and then these are again implementation specific. I have chosen to add these values, but these are the two main things that we need in order to pull. So I'm going to hit run. So this was successful. Now let me just quickly go back to observe. So what you will notice now is, so what you'll notice now is few exchanges here. So you will see this is the delimited. This was the pull request that went out. And then you will see that a new 850 came in, right? And this is the pull 850 that we had set up, right? So if I go here again, same thing here. This is the pull request that went out. If you go into the message logs, you will see it'll tell we received this wire message for this specific pull request, right? And you have the message ID. You can Again, there might be multiple exchanges that will be happening. So you can just take the wire message that it gave back and go here and paste it and apply, and it'll filter to the exact wire message that was pulled in. So you will notice that this is the process. It is processing the inbound pull response with this message ID, and you will see this is attached to the 850 that was the pull payload that was there. So yeah, now I think this was pretty much and the new feature AS4 that we have recently introduced. Another thing that I wanted to quickly showcase was the feature of trading partner downtime. So you can see I have this again a similar setup like we saw, but this is now AS2 here. I have this trading partner. So what I have now is the ability to schedule a TP downtime. So if I just quickly go ahead and set it for 8:44 and click add, you'll see now the downtime has been scheduled. So we'll just wait for it to elapse. Okay, so it's 8:44 now, so you can see now the downtime is active. So what we will do is now quickly create some outbound transaction just to see what's going to happen. I think I get the wrong ID. Just a quick second. Let me confirm what is the ID that I need to use. Oh, need to use. Okay. So as you can see, this now has been set in transmission TP downtime. So if I quickly go to observe for this, you can notice that the status is pending transmission TP downtime, and also the wire message that is associated with this is pending transaction as well. So just to show what exactly happens, I can now you can either wait for the downtime to elapse, but for the sake of demo we'll just remove this, and let's give it a minute for the system to process them. So you can see now this is successfully sent, and this wire message also has been successfully sent, right? So this is the downtime feature. Another thing that I quickly want to highlight was, I think I mentioned during our initial presentation, that we do support multiple organization exchanges as well, right? So there's a way to simulate that this OIC instance is multi-org, and you can have TP specific identifiers as well. And the way we can look at that is, so if you look at outbound agreements, typically when you're sending out these EDI documents, you will need to attach the identifiers for the host, right? And For global chips, there could be, again, multiple departments which may have their own specific identifiers. So that is one of the main use cases or requirements in the field out there. So you might notice here that uh, we have the ability to specify, a different host identifier altogether. If I click here, I also see a bunch of other things. You can see I have an interchange ID which says GC. I have a interchange ID which can say Acme, right? So whatever I want, depending on how many ever departments or sub orgs are there within that, I can define, and I can use them selectively depending on which trading partner and which outbound agreement that I am using it for. So this is the way we support multi-org setups in OIC. So that was the crux of the demo, and I at this point I would like to quickly share something from the future. This is just to whet your appetites. Again, this is a very early preview of all of this. So as you might have understood that there are quite a few steps that you need to do in order to set up the TP. And if you are thinking that, okay, that's a lot of things to do, although, we've tried to make it as simple as possible, we do have a new feature that we are working on, which is basically using AI assistance to create trading partner setup. So I'm just going to quickly, again, this is a very early preview for you guys, right? So you can go to trading partner and create a, TP quickly and hit create. So now what you're going to see whenever this feature is made available is this AI chat box, and in this you are able to add a prompt which you can which will help you define your TP exchange, right? So I'm just going to paste a sample prompt here, so and we'll quickly review this. So what I'm telling is this TP profile is sending X12 5010 850 and 820, and it receives X12 5010 855, and it's using the AS2 protocol. I'm also providing it with the sample ISA segment from an 850 that we received. And I'm telling it to use this to create the B2B identifiers from this sample. So here is the ISA segment. So let's just see what happens when I send this request, right? So this is now sent to AI for analysis. So the AI is going to analyze your input and try to extract what it can from that. And here you can see it has come back and said, okay, I have found these are your host identifiers based on these values here. I've also seen that this is your trading partner identifier here. And then based on what you said, these are the documents that you want to set up, and this is the transport that you want to set up. And since you mentioned that you are going to receive these are the things that you are going to receive, and that's the agreement. And these are the things that you're going to send. Now, if this is all okay and matching with what you see here, you can hit a thumbs up, or if you want to go back and say, okay, to create again, you can hit thumbs up. I'm just gonna hit create here. So it's gonna take a couple of minutes. And you can see it's created the identifiers for me. It's created the transport. It's created the agreements for me, and all of them. Again, this is not 100%. You do need to go back and dot the I's and complete the whole cycle. But you can see it's created the essential stuff like all the documents. It's also set up the adapter connection that you need. Again, you need to go and set it up and complete the setup, and then you are good to go. So that's the demo for today. I hope this was pretty helpful. So back to you, Jürgen.
Vernon, thanks for the nice presentation and the nice demo. So thumbs up. Before we come to the questions, some information how to get started. If you would like to try Oracle integration and the B2B functionality, please make use of the free trial. There you can build demos and proof of concepts for customers. We also offer a shared playground for partners to get certified and trained. Please do not use it for any customer presentation. And we also provide SaaS services at demo.oraclecloud.com. So get your free trial, activate your free trial, and get started with Oracle integration. The documentation helps you, and as part of the documentation, we offer live labs. So please visit the Oracle Integration 3 documentation page, and there you find the links to live labs, or you can look for Oracle Integration Live Labs. And there is a Get Started for Oracle Integration 3, and there is also a B2B class. If you are not yet a member in the partner community, please register now. We also keep the partner page updated with the latest presentations, and today's presentation is recorded and will be available at Oracle Video Hub. At Video Hub, you can log in, and then you can also download the presentation of today. So all links are provided within the resources. There you can find also more information and the upcoming events and activities. I would like to open up the question and answers before I hand over to Ravi from a question with Omar. He would like to know what is the difference between a standard adapter and B2B, and where should he use the B2B technology? So what is the use case for B2B?
I'm not sure what exactly you meant by standard adapter, but so B2B has specific protocols like we were discussing, things like AS2, AS4, Rosetta Net. So these are B2B specific protocols, right? So they are typically used only for B2B exchanges and not anywhere else. So you would need to set up those adapters. There is another concept, maybe that's what you were referring to, I'm assuming. So a thing called as a B2B action. That is basically an activity in the integration setup, which allows you to interact with the B2B artifacts, things like the documents and schemas, which allows you to bring in those documents into the transformation aspect. So that's the two major things that are involved here. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Vernon, give it to Ravi. Ravi, what questions do we have which are open and you would like to highlight?
Yes. So Vernon, great session. I have a question from Inas. So Inas had something related to DevOps. So I said, you know what, I'll allow him to talk. So let's see if Inas is still available. Inas, are you there?
Hello, yes, I'm here.
So Inas, you had a question on related to DevOps. So maybe you can elaborate
Yeah,
here live.
yeah, thank you very much. I would like to ask about this kind of integrations between Oracle and DevOps, because all the legacies in software architectures and hardware architectures prefer sometimes DevOps more than other technologies, and Oracle is caring about this integration. I don't know if it will replace it in the future by one way or another, or it will be very enhanced integrations, growing, caring about security issues like distributing roles and privilege and these matters in very critical and deep way. What is the future of this kind of integration? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's not very relevant to B2B specifically, but it's an overall question, but I'll try to answer. So yes, I mean, from a DevOps perspective, we do have certain features. We did recently release a capability where you can configure a GitHub repository to which you can push all your development, be it projects or the deployment specifically. And then, from the other instance, you are able to directly import from that specific Git repository. If you want to automate it, you can then have your DevOps pipelines, which are outside of OIC, which will act on this repository that you just made these entries to, and then they can automate to push all of these to whichever environment you want. If you're talking about OCI specific DevOps or repositories, that is currently not supported, that might be a manual process that you would have to employ. But we are looking at various avenues where we can make it first-class citizens within OIC as well. And hope that answers your question.
Yes, it is very good answer, and I'm just making sure about the relation between my questions and the lecture today about B2B, because the managing of resources for software and database engines and distributing roles and security matters, it is very different between Oracle and DevOps. The Oracle or American systems like Microsoft, whatever, it is very specified in instructions and applying policies, special policies, special strategies. But DevOps, it is more near to open source environment, which may make us confused about this type of integrations and security for this level, the management of those resources, the database engines, the transactions in B2B or B2C or B2E. It is very deep point, need a very detailed presentation to give the people who are specialists in developing and programming the complete vision about this. Thank you very much.
Again, I would say thank you all for joining. Thank you for Vernon, Jürgen, for covering, and also the participants for taking your time to be on this call. And I can't wait to connect if you're coming to Cloud World. Otherwise, we'll meet you again at the next webinar.
Thank you very much for attending. Thank you for the nice presentation. And please join the next webcast on October 28th. See you at AI World.